with Omron today.
Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Royal Enfield has recently introduced a 650cc cruiser and a tourer motorcycle in the market. Now it's the same engine that does duty in the Continental 650 GT as well as the Interceptor models. But is this a cruiser or a tourer motorcycle that you would be interested in? Let's find out.
Now, when Royal Enfield came out with the Meteor 350 a couple of years ago, back in 2020, well, that motorcycle changed the entire game as far as retro-themed cruiser tourer motorcycles were concerned. Today, we are out here with the Super Meteor 650, a motorcycle that promises to take things to an even higher level in terms of cruiser and tourer motorcycles. So, without wasting any more time, I'm just going to bring a leg over the bike and tell you what it's all about. Super Meteor 650 is a mighty fine looking motorcycle to say the least. Now on the design front, the RE exudes all the typical traits of a thoroughbred middleweight cruiser. The low stance, raked out front end, some very neatly integrated LED lights on the fender which give the bike a nice and broad, compact tail section. Now the new cruiser gets a lot of firsts for Royal Enfield too, like the upside down fork which I mentioned earlier, the LED headlamp, the plated aluminum switch cubes that house RE's unique rotary switches, and finally the bike also gets these distinctive tank badges which undeniably add touches of old school finesse to this mix. And boy do they look premium and brilliant. Now electronic riding aids and features are the bare minimum out here, which according to me is just fine, because you do get just what you require when you're out on the road. And that includes dual channel ABS, a tripper navigation, the slipper clutch, an analog part of the display which reads out a reserve fuel trip reading, and a USB socket located beneath the left side panel. Now just like before I go on, I should inform you that there are two variations of the Super Meteor 650 that you can choose from. The Super Meteor 650 Standard and the Super Meteor 650 Tourer. Now the model you see here, which we are testing out this time around, is the latter. And this model comes kitted with a touring windscreen, a longer, broader touring seat with a pillion backrest, and it also sports one of two distinctive two-tone colorways. Alright, so swinging a leg over the Meteor 650, well, not too much of hassle. 740mm of seat height, not too bad to get a leg over. And as you can see, once you're in the saddle, a very nice, comfortable, laid-back position that the bike will make you assume, with the forward-set foot pegs and the slightly tilted back handlebars. Very cruiser-like, very easy-going. And yes, the seat as well. This one is the top-end Celestial variant of the Meteor 650, which comes with a single-piece seat. The other lower variants, the Astral and the Interstellar, come with step seat. This unit in particular, single piece, and it has a longer section for your pillion rider. So your pillion will be a lot more comfortable with this seat. Now at the heart of the Super Meteor 650 is that same highly refined 648cc parallel twin motor that we've seen previously in the Interceptor 650 and the GT 650 models. And although this motor produces the same amount of power and torque, which is around 47 PS of peak power and a little over 52 Nm of peak torque, well, this motor is tuned to produce a lot more torque lower down the power band, just like a cruiser should. The Super Meteor 650 feels very torquey from the get-go, and the engine feels a lot more tractable in this current setup. With the older RE650 twins, well, the level of refinement of the parallel twin motor was a real highlight. And much to my delight, the Super Meteor 650 hasn't compromised this level of refinement. The best part about the Super Meteor 650 state of tune is that now you can short shift at lower speeds and cruise along perfectly fine without the engine knocking in protest like it did on the older RE650 twins. There's plenty of grunt all across the band, and if you really want to get going at pace, well, this bike feels more than up for it. Although it might not be as quick as, say, the GT or the Interceptor 650 models, well, the Super Meteor 650 doesn't feel anywhere close to being sluggish. Besides being a lot heavier than the Interceptor 650, the Super Meteor's wheelbase is 100mm longer, and with 135mm of ground clearance, it does sit 39mm lower to the ground in comparison. So it isn't as eager to change direction. But that doesn't mean that you'll find it difficult to alter your course when you astride this bike. It's a cruiser motorcycle after all, and it all falls in sync very well, feeling every bit the part. The front end provides a good amount of feedback with the chunky upside down fork and its 120 mm of travel, absorbing bumps very nicely. While the twin shocks at the rear are set up stiff, just as you would expect on a thoroughbred cruiser bike. The bike takes to long sweeping corners like a fat kid to cape. Tipping the Super Meteor 650 into long winding roads towards the dunes of Sam was an absolute delight. The bike held its line very nicely provided that the road was smooth. Battling down open stretches of highway at triple-digit speeds are definitely in this bike's forte. Cruising at 100 to 120 kmph appears to come just so naturally to this bike, it feels like a casual walk in the park. And what's more is that you'll have more than enough juice to get past traffic moving at that speed very easily. And the icing on this Royal Enfield space cake has to be its pricing. Now this pretty much blows away any competition that it will come against into the weeds. The standard Super Meteor model can be had for 3.49 lakh to 3.64 lakh ex-showroom India, depending on what colorway you choose, while the touring model, well, that can be had for around rupees 3.79 lakh ex-showroom India.
Well, the Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650 does rival its sibling, the Interceptor 650, and also the Benelli 520C. But given the Benelli is a bit more expensive in comparison, it would make sense to go for the Super Meteor 650. We'll take a very quick break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we'll tell you all about the facelifted MJ Gloucester. Stay tuned, you're watching Overdrive.
When it comes to making your drive electric,